Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is November 2021 and we're quickly approaching the end of the year. So about another 30 days left and 2021 will be in the books. So just a few things to comment on before I jump into the income for the month. So still working at the pharmaceutical company. No real changes there. I'm a senior supervisor. I have a team of maybe like 14 to 16 people so far that I've hired on over the past, it's almost been a year, I'd say now. Salary is right at 95,000, so I just got a salary increase last month. So no real changes there. Usually, the next step for me would be a manager or senior manager or director is above that. So it goes like supervisor, manager, director, vice president, typically in most companies or most companies that I've seen and worked with. So usually as a supervisor, you'd have to work from like 5 to 7 years before you could become a manager. And then as a manager, probably another 5 to 7 years before you could become a director. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. So I probably have a long, long time to go. I'm 1 year in and I would probably have 4 more years to go before I could become a manager. So no real changes there. Work-wise, though, I am salary at 95,000. I've not really commented on this in a long time, but I'm still, working pretty crazy overtime. It kind of comes in waves. Like, 1 week I might work 40 or 45 hours a week, and then the next week, so sometimes for my team, we have to work like 24-hour support, and then some portions of my team only have like one or two people in that department. And so to provide 24-hour coverage is a little hard with one person. And so what I've been doing is just, taking the shifts for that team, kind of leading by example. And so I've had to work a lot of like 24 to 30-hour shifts here recently, and sometimes like back-to-back days. And so I might work like a 24-hour shift, go home, sleep for 8 or 10 hours, go back, work another 24 to 30-hour shift, and then kind of do that for 3 or 4 days. So November's been a pretty long month. I would say I'm averaging, probably 90 hours a week, maybe 95 hours a week in November. But then I know in December things will slow down a little bit. But it is pretty frustrating that being salary, I basically don't get paid for 50 hours of overtime work. So but it's part of the job. So I'm hoping that some of this overtime work will help me expedite moving to manager a little bit faster. Other than that, everything's going good at work. No turnover on my team at all. Everybody seems to be super happy. I'm having lots of people from other departments reach out and want to join my team. So I think whatever I'm doing, it's working good. So I'll just, I'm a pretty relaxed person and not a micromanager. So everybody really likes that, and they get their stuff done and have no issues. So, but for November here, gross income was almost 11,000, not quite. I had I had one paycheck that had like $2,000 bonus on there, which was nice. I probably won't have too many bonuses coming December. It'll probably be back down to like the 7,000 or $8,000 mark, somewhere in there. So just a heads up. For taxes, I paid 1,400, 1,680 in my 401k. So I only have another 804-ish dollars left to put in my 401k for the year, and then I'll have that thing maxed out at 19,500. So that'll be really nice. And for my employee stock purchase plan, I put 365 in there this month, and then take home pay was $7,337. Then for my wife, she lost her last class, so it kind of comes in waves. So she works full time as a professor for the university, and then she adjunct teaches for some other universities around town. And so, not around town, I guess. They're maybe 30, 45 minutes away, but they're remote though, so she doesn't actually have to physically travel to them. So the adjunct teaching jobs are kind of the extra income in a part-time role. So they kind of come and go. So yeah, she made $4,600 this month, and then next month she should not make anything really. She might get like $400 or $500 from adjunct teaching if she gets one more paycheck in December. But if you remember, she gets paid twice in January, so it's going to be pretty low for her next month. But 412 is what she put in taxes, or was taken in taxes. 2,600 in her retirement accounts, 387 in the HSA, 130 in insurance, and then took home $1,332. So Looking at her income, because she's about done for the year. She might make a little bit more, but not too much. I don't think she'll break 60,000. So she made almost 60,000, 1,500 short of that. She put 27,000 almost in her 403bs and 457bs. So she overdid the max, which is two separate accounts, so you can actually max both of them. So we probably could have put 39,000 in there. But for some reason, she has to pay some in taxes. I don't know why. I would think that if both of these were traditional accounts, that it would just lower her taxable income to nothing. But I don't know. I think some of the taxes are like Social Security tax and Medicaid is taken out before traditional. Maybe I really need to look into that. But so yes, every month, even though she's putting $3,000 of her paycheck towards retirement accounts, it's still taking out Social Security and Medicaid, but nothing for federal and nothing for state taxes. And then same thing with insurance. She has to pay the insurance, but for her take-home pay, so she's only made $20,000 take-home pay out of $60,000 of income. So 2/3 of her paycheck is either going to taxes, retirement accounts, or insurance, which is crazy. And our insurance is actually really good for the both of us on there. It's only $1,600 a year. That's extremely good. And so that's why we're on her insurance, is because it's so cheap. Her benefits at her company are pretty good, but. For rental income, 2,315 this month. Yeah, basically just a standard month. And then for other income, I did sell house number 6, and so that was 51,000. I purchased the house for 20,000, and then our closing price was 51,000. So yeah, so it worked out really well. Kind of, it took a little bit longer than I thought, but my plan, I feel like I found the least risky way to flip house number 6, which maybe I'll talk about that here in a second. So, only other noteworthy thing, I crossed the $500,000 mark in gross income, crossed the $100,000 mark in taxes that I've paid in my lifetime, and then looks like we crossed over the $1 million mark for gross income in our lifetimes as well. Okay, net worth here. So house number 4, house number 5, both of those just increase in value. They're 2%. House number 6, I sold, and what I was gonna say was, I feel like we executed that pretty well. We could have went a little bit faster, maybe, but my goal was for it to take over a year, and so that way the taxes were a little bit cheaper for me. Um, and so I don't think I'll actually have to pay anything in taxes on that money. But I feel like I had two options for house number 6. I could have sunk $100,000 into it and maybe sold it for, um, I don't know, maybe 150, 160. So I would have been like 130,000, $140,000 in to maybe make $40,000. And so that's a lot of risk and a lot of money tied up in one property. Where that money could be doing other stuff, like sitting in M1 Finance, and growing in there. So option number 2 was, since I bought the place for 20,000, the land itself was probably worth 20,000. So that's why I purchased the house. So my thought was, I am always looking at the market, the real estate market, trying to find rental properties, houses to flip, and there are like right now never any rental properties for me at least that make sense. Other people buy them, and I don't know how they even make money on them, but um, there are like I could never find anything to flip. Like it's a house that's like the stuff I find are houses like $120,000 and it needs 100,000 worth of work and it'd be worth like 170 when it was flipped. And so like it's a losing flip. So that was the goal of house number 6, was like, how can I get the most value out of this house without putting the least amount of money into it. And so that was the strategy. I think I spent maybe $300 total. The dumpster was $250 to haul off all the insulation and drywall and paneling and stuff. And then I sold the copper wires from the electrical. And so that was like $50 that I actually made. And then I had some old paint that I painted the like side. They had like a little barn out back, like a small shed. And so I painted that with some used paint that I had laying around. So really, it was like $200, I think, for this whole entire place, but a ton of sweat equity, a ton of cleaning stuff up, which is, I guess, my area of expertise. So I'm fine with some sweat equity and working hard on stuff. But So yeah, sold it for $30,000 profit with only putting $200 into it. That's a pretty good deal. Within it's probably 18 months is what we had the house, so not too bad overall. But yeah, house number six is gone, and house number six's money you can see is down here in our checkings account right now. But it's going to find a new home pretty soon here as well. But um, so house number seven again just increased like $200, the 2% each month that it goes up. It's 2% each year divided by 12. You can see the equation up here. It's about I don't know 1/10 of 1%, I guess, a month, something like that. No changes with vehicles this month. M1 finance went up a little bit. Everything basically went up just a little bit this month. So $1,000 in M1 finance. I did not add anything in there. I'm trying to get through purchasing this next property, and going to see what that looks like before I pile more money into M1 finance. But it, regardless, it went up $1,700 for HSA. It went up about $1,000, not maybe $500. For my 401k, it was up almost 5,000, a little over $5,000. And then my employee stock was pretty much flat, maybe down just a little bit, but I should be getting more equity here pretty soon as well. So in January 15th is when I get that next like lump sum of equity. For my wife's 403b, she put in another 2,600, so hers is up to almost 130,000, which is good. So overall investments were up 11,000. Probably 4,000 of that I would say we contributed to, and then 7,000 was just market gains, which is good. Debts, paid the minimum payments on everything. Nothing special there. Actually, yes, something special there. House number five. I forgot I did this. It's been a busy month. So I refinanced house number five, and it went through earlier in the month. I forgot that was like 3.5 weeks ago now. So I refinanced house number five. So it is on 30-year. It was re-amortized. So the 30 years restarts. So that's the first thing. Second thing is I wrapped in the closing costs. So the closing costs were like $3,500 roughly. And so I could have paid that out of pocket. But again, I'm trying to be careful with the cash that I'm spending right now and making sure that I can purchase this next property coming up. So I rolled the closing cost into the loan, and it's a 30-year fixed at 3.5%. And so it's extremely low, especially for rental properties. And if you ever try to go get rental property loans, they are usually like a 1% higher than like a first-time homeowner's loan or a residential loan. So really, they're like 2.5%, 2.75% is what I would probably get on a normal house. And our credit scores right now are just under 800. They're like 795, 792, somewhere in there. We don't have a lot of credit history, obviously, because of our age, so that's the one that hits us. But we have no delinquencies or anything like that. Um, so yeah, refinanced house number five. So I'll start making payments on that starting next month. Should be paying off like $150 a month. The pro of this, the reason that I did this was one, I wanted to lower interest rate because I was at like 4.25% on my previous one, and so by refinancing house number five, I could lock in that 3.5% interest rate for 30 years, and I lost PMI. So when I purchased the property probably 3 years ago now, I put 15% down because the numbers were just better. So I Yeah, so when I put 15% down, I had to pay PMI. PMI was like $40 each month that I had to pay the mortgage. And so over the past 3 years, I've been paying that $40. It was time when they did the appraisal. The appraisal came in at like 165,000, which I have it valued at 149,000 up here. And the appraiser was probably somewhat conservative too. It's probably actually like 170 or 180. I would say the house across the street that's half the size just sold for 182. And I bought this for 110,000 3 years ago. So it's already went up 60, 70,000 in value roughly. But yeah, so that's basically my reasoning for refinancing house number five. I did not do a HELOC. I did not do a cash out refinance. The only thing I did was roll in the closing cost into the loan balance. With these two loans here, house five and house seven, I will not do anything with these for probably the next 30 years. It doesn't really make sense since they're so low, um, if inflation is 2% or 2.5%, which will probably be increasing over the next few years, would be my assumption with all the money that we've been printing, um, then I'm basically paying 1% per year. So for the next 30 years, I'm just going to pay the minimum payments on these, unless I fall into a ton of money and get bored and just want to pay them off. So house number 4. Okay, I'm rambling a little bit here, but there's a plan, there's a method to the madness. So we got an accepted offer on the 66 acres I talked about last month. So they had it listed at 400,000. We offered 330. They laughed at us. We offered 350. They pretty much laughed at us again, and I offered 375, so 25,000 under the list price. And they came back to me and said that they have 4 offers on the table right now. And so I went up to 380, so $20,000 under the list price. And yeah, and so they accepted the offer, and we're going through the appraisers. So it looks like we got it. So sometime in December, like mid December 15th, December 17th, somewhere in there, we should close on that property. And then I will have to put down about 55,000 of this 99,000. So pretty much all of house number 6 is just going straight into the land, the 66 acres. So that is kind of the game plan right now. The land is just like every property that I've ever purchased, completely distressed. It has invasive species all over it: honeysuckle, Lespedeza, multiflora rose, tree of heaven, all those for any of you that know invasive species. Um, so it's just overrun with invasive species. The roadside, you can't even park on the property right now because there is like Japanese stilt grass or something that is like 8 foot tall. So I'll have to borrow my parents' tractor and bush hog and start just bush hogging everything. That way I can even get to the property. So I may save this for next month's video, actually. Since December will be a recap, yeah, I'll ramble on next month about my goal here. So anyway, so 50,000 of this will go away. So checkings account is at 99,000, just under 100,000, mainly from the addition of house number 6, and then rental property did its thing like it always does, goes up about $1,000 per month in there. So closing out November, net worth is $864,204. And then we had a decrease this month on our goal pace. We barely went up on net worth, mainly because of all of the fees I had to pay. Closing fees for the house, refinancing fees here on house number 5. And so it was a month of a lot of fees, and the market didn't go up a ton either. So that would kind of explains that. But there's strategic moves that I'm making, I would say. So for goal pace, it was lost $9,000 this month, but still $280,871 ahead of my goal pace of becoming a millionaire by the age of 30. So yeah, about 2.5 more years and I'll be 30. So time is flying by, but yeah, I think we got a clear path, and we'll just keep working hard. But yeah, to close out November, net worth is $864,000 and $280,000 ahead of my goal pace. So we have a lot to do. It's going to be exciting closing on that property here in the next couple weeks. Hopefully everything goes through. But yeah, yep, that'll be interesting, and some interesting updates to come. So I'll talk about that next month at the end of December when I close out 2021. So thank you all for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Next month's videos are on the screen now. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, things that you'd like to see in future videos, just comment them down below. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.